What's going on, everybody? Today's video is going to be a new product install video. As you can tell by the title, it is for front bushings for S197 control arms. Alright, so right here is a set of S197 control arms. They are the Ford Racing ones, I think they're called the Boss control arms, which have the longer stud already. I believe all the control arms and this diameter housing right here is what we're concerned about. I believe they're the same on any S197. So this particular customer had polyurethane bushings in them, and you can see how they just broke apart on him. Here's the rear peg bushing, which also has a nice rip in it. At this moment, we don't have an option for the back. We might be looking into something, so comment and let us know if you want a rear bushing, either Delrin, or we can maybe machine some housing with a Shperical somehow. But today's video is for these guys, which will nest right in here. So here's the kit. It comes with two housings with the Shperical bearing pressed in, snap ringed, the spacers needed, and the OD snap rings. Now I'm gonna assume if you're putting Shpericals in your car, you or who's doing the install has the mechanical aptitude to remove the control arm from the car. Once it's removed, you're obviously going to press out this front bushing right here. Now, whether it's OEM or this aftermarket polyurethane, you're definitely going to need some sort of like press, get all that stuff out of there. And then once everything's out, you want to make sure that you didn't kind of like mar up or jack up this inside face right here. If you did, run a little bit of like a wire wheel, or if there's like a nasty burr from pressing it out or something, run like a file through it. Get rid of any burrs that would catch on the aluminum housing when you're pressing it in. Now the aluminum housings they should be ever so slightly undersized of this diameter right here, because an aluminum bushing cannot be a press fit into steel. It'll get marred up and it won't sit correctly. And you also want to make sure, if you have the control arms with the grease fitting right here, make sure that is backed out enough that it won't drag on the bushing going in. All right, so once the old bushing is out, you got to clean everything up. So we're just going to use a little bit of, this is just acetone. Any sort of degreaser should work. Brake clean would work as well. You just want to get rid of any oil or grease residue that might still be on the inside here. And then you're also going to want to degrease, wipe down the bushing itself. Now you can see we noted these ones. Front is the skinny end, so it's going to install from the middle of the control arm forward. So just make note of the writing, because when you acetone it off, it might wipe away. And that's where this bearing retaining compound comes in. We're going to use a generous amount on both the inside of the control arm and the bearing housing itself. So effectively at this point, we are almost gluing the bushing into the control arm. And for future reference, that snap ring in there, that can come out, and that Shperical bearing can come out to replace the bearing itself. This cup, once it goes into the control arm, is pretty much in there for good. Let's do a little bit of a dry fit. And you can see how it's snug. And if I mic it out, there's about a 1 to 2 thou variance on this one. Now, a little bit of a press fit is okay if you can get in there with a ball joint press or a vise, or even if you have a shop press. If it goes in with light force, you should be good. If it goes in like this by hand, but there's very, very little play, that's ideal. Now you can also heat up the control arm or put these in a freezer overnight, and that might give you an extra like thou or two, which doesn't seem like much, but it could be enough. All right, so now that we know all of our mating surfaces are clean, So again, a fairly generous amount, doesn't hurt. We're going to do inside the control arm as well. And then I'm just going to use my finger, smear it around to make sure you got some everywhere. Probably should have worn gloves. All right, and then remember, we're installing the skinny end towards the front. So it goes this way. And we're good. Now, something you might want to do before you try and snap it on, just make sure that the bushing is seated all the way, because there's not much of a gap between the snap ring and the channel that it's supposed to sit in. But I can see that it fits in with, I don't know, maybe like 5 thou to spare. So that way we know when we go around, it'll seat properly. Try to do this in a way you guys can see. There we go. All right, so now we're seated. We look good. It's already locked in. And I don't know if I mentioned it. This kit will come with the retaining compound we recommend for installing these. In the video, we have a 50 ml bottle. I'm going to try and find more appropriately sized, like 10 milliliter bottles, but just know that it's going to come with this, so you don't have to get this separate. Then at this point, you have a long spacer and a short spacer. Long spacer goes on the back of the control arm. Short spacer goes towards the front, and that's what gives you your forward offset a little bit of the control arm, which will help weight distribution a little bit. You will need to align your car because that's going to change caster, as well as it'll have a little bit of a positive effect on Ackerman as well. All right, guys, so there you go. Quick little easy one. At this point, install is just the opposite of, taking the control arm out. I think I just mentioned you're going to need an alignment, and replacing just the WSXX12T Shperical inside of here when they wear out, because at the end of the day, they still are a bearing. You might need a new one after, a certain amount of time. Now, the initial R&D set of these bearings, a guy did 3 weekends on them now, and he said they still feel perfect. When he was replacing the polyurethane bushings, he said like every other weekend. So hopefully longevity you get out of them, along with all the other benefits of getting rid of that unwanted slop of the rubber bushing if you're replacing rubber, torn poly bushings, or just that control arm movement under hard braking or cornering. So there you go. Link will be right in the video description below to these parts. Anything else you need is in our website. As always, guys, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one.